Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Julie Mann. I'm also known as the Habit Fixer, and I love helping women regain their mojo and age well. And I do that with EFT, which is a really simple tapping technique, nutrition, skincare, and digital products. And today I'm really delighted because I'm joined by Helen Tuddenham. And if you don't really know her, she is an executive coach and she really knows her stuff. And today, Helen, firstly, welcome.
Thank you.
It's good to see you. I know that you're going to be talking about 4 habits for a productive work rhythm, aren't you?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, really looking forward to that. So just take it away.
Great. Well, thanks, Julie. So a little bit more about me. As Julie says, I'm an executive coach and I work with experienced professionals to help them unravel the complexities of leadership. And what that means, well, if they're stuck, I help them to figure out the obstacles that are getting in their way, help them to eliminate those sticking points. And as a result of that, they get fresh perspectives on who they are and how they lead, and also help them to thrive in their career. One of the ways I do that is helping people to be more productive. And that's what this chat is going to all be about. So if you ask any of my friends to describe me in a word or a phrase, whether that's people who know me through work or my personal life, they will say I'm well organized. And the reason I come across as that is because I have a system of habits that I do on a weekly basis that really just helps me get things done, helps me prioritize and focus and make sure there's none of those last minute panics. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. I guess a word of warning first, these are the habits that help me be productive and be at my best. And I emphasize those words, me and my, because everyone works a little bit differently. So the way that I work best and what works for me may be very different to what works best for you. So these 4 habits that I'm going to share, just try them out. They might work for you, they might not. You might find that they probably work for you to a large extent, but you just need to make some tweaks to make them work perfectly for you. And again, before we start, just a final thing. This is about being productive, having a productive work day. What do I mean by productive? Well, it's about prioritization and focus. So the idea is that using these habits can help you really focus on what it is that's going to help you drive your business or your career forward. I'm not saying it's going to make everything easy, but what it will do is help you reduce the amount of time you spend procrastinating, thinking about what it is that you're going to do on a particular day. And in turn, that helps a little bit with some of that doubt that might creep in when we're just thinking about what it is that we want to do next in our business. Finally, these are things I do weekly. You might decide to do them more or less frequently. So let's start with the first habit then. And my first habit is about reviewing the previous week. Now, I choose to do this on a Friday afternoon because it makes sense for me. So whenever the end of your working day is. And how I do this is I grab a paper and pen. You can do it digitally as well. And I ask myself 3 questions. So the first one is what went well last week and why? The second one is what did I learn about last week and how can I use that to help me get better going forward? And then the third one is what are my priority tasks for next week? So I'll just go through those in a little bit more detail. So the first one, what went well last week and why? So this is a good question because too often we focus on things that are going wrong. And by focusing on the things that have gone well, we can learn from that. So whatever it is we've done that makes things happen well for us, we can keep using that in future. But it also just helps to give us a sense of satisfaction, a little bit of a mood boost on a Friday afternoon. And if in particular you've been working on something for a while, just looking at the progress that you've made just gives you a sense of satisfaction about how far you've come. So that's the first one. That's about what went well last week and also why. That leads really well into the second one, which is about what did I learn from last week? So we can learn from things that we did well and that we want to keep doing again, but also from things that didn't go so well. It might be a conversation that you had that didn't go very well because you didn't perhaps approach it in the right way. It might be that you tried to fit too much into a week and you felt a little bit overwhelmed. Spending some time just reflecting and thinking what it is that you're feeling and why that happened, and writing that down can be really beneficial, because it's from that that we can decide what we want to do better next time. Word of warning, though, is that it's not enough just to write it down and forget about it. You've got to come back to these learnings over and over again and make a commitment to work on them in the following week, which is why I would never say more than 1 or 2 in a particular week. Otherwise, you get a bit overwhelmed. So these are things that I do every week, but then I will just keep checking them on a monthly basis, making sure that I am still trying to get better at these things and learning from my lessons. And then the third question, what the priority tasks for the next week, is flipping it slightly to look forward. So when we've done and dusted the week gone and reviewed it, I'm then looking forward and thinking, what are those things that have to get done next week? And these are then your priority tasks that you're going to focus on. Again, not too many. Challenge yourself to think what it is that I have to get done next week. So that's the first habit. Review the week that's just gone. Moving on to the second habit now, this is planning in those priority tasks for next week. How do we do that? 3 things. The first one is by breaking those tasks down into subtasks. So if one of your priority tasks this week is to perhaps write a report or an article, the way that might break down is, firstly, you might be doing a first draft. The second subtask might be to edit it. The third one might be to submit it for review or for someone else to have a look at it. Fourth one might be to deal with any comments they had and get it even better. Fifth one might be to proofread it. Sixth one might be either to submit it or perhaps post on social media about it. So it's breaking that bigger task down into smaller chunks. That sort of helps you to know where to start, particularly if it's a big task that you've got ahead of you. The second thing then, when you've done that, is to block time in your diary for those subtasks. And this is where you can use technology to help you. So I use Google Calendar, but pretty much all electronic calendars now have a facility for you to put some time into your diary, but mark it as non-busy. So that then shows you or anyone else who has access to your diary that there isn't a meeting there, that they can book a meeting over it because you know that task can be moved. But it will give you a sense of shape to your week. So with your meetings in there and the tasks that you have to prioritize in there. Be very careful when you're allocating time to tasks. Just make sure you're being realistic. And then that brings to the third thing around planning in your priority tasks for the week, which is particularly relevant if, like me, you tend to perhaps overestimate how much you can get done in a week. So what I then do next is add up the time it's going to take me to do these tasks. And then on top of that, add up all the time I'm spending this week in meetings or with other commitments, perhaps adding a little bit of extra time on that to deal with contingencies and last minute things that will arise, looking at emails, phone calls, that sort of thing, and seeing what that total is. So that's the total of my work that I want to get done next week, including meetings and non-meeting tasks. I then compare that to the number of hours that I either want to work next week, or if I'm employed, what my employer expects me to work each week, and see whether it balances up. If my list of jobs to do is higher than the amount of hours I have got in the week, then I have 2 choices. So the first one is that I can drop some of those tasks or perhaps move some of those meetings, again, challenging myself as to what priority is. I could perhaps delegate some of them, if that's an option for me. Or it might be that I choose to work more hours than I normally would next week. And I might be fine with that. I know if I've got a lot of deadlines out there or something really important going on, that I don't mind working a bit extra. The important thing, though, is that I have made a choice. So what doesn't happen is I get to next week, I realise I've taken too much on, I get annoyed about it, I get overwhelmed, I'm working unexpected overtime, if you like. So it just gives me that choice. So that's a summary of the second habit then, that is taking your priority tasks for the week and coming up with a plan to make sure they all get done. Now, as I said, those first two tasks I tend to do on a Friday afternoon. It takes me something like 30 to 45 minutes each week to do that. So it's just a little bit of investment now ahead, but I know it's going to save me a lot of time in the coming week, thinking about what needs to be done next, procrastinating, planning, not focusing on what needs to get done. The third habit is all around meetings. Now, you can do this again at the same time on a Friday and look a week ahead in your diary. I actually tend to do this midweek, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, and look ahead about 10 days in the diary. What do I do as part of this? What am I looking ahead for? Well, I'm looking at the meetings that are in my diary for the next 7 to 10 days and thinking about what do I need to do to prepare for those. And like with my tasks from habit 2, I will then put some time in the diary to be able to work on that preparation. So the preparation can be logistical things. If it's a meeting that's going to be face-to-face, I might need to book a room. If it's not in my normal office, I might need to think about travel time and put that aside in the calendar. I might need to look at train times, think about parking, book things, all that practical logistical stuff. If it's an online meeting through Teams or Zoom, I might need to actually create the meeting and send the link around. But there's also non-logistical preparation as well around the content. So if it's my meeting, I might want to make sure I've got an agenda ready, that it's sent out to people, that I've confirmed everyone's attendance. If it's a meeting that someone has asked me to go to, I might just want to check it's going ahead still. Perhaps do some pre-reading in advance, find out what it is that person expects of me. So that's the third habit, looking at the meetings ahead for the next 7 to 10 days and making sure I've got time in my diary to prepare that. Again, it takes me about 15 minutes a week to do that, but it saves a lot of heartache and last minute panic and double booking myself and turning up to meetings feeling not particularly prepared as well. And then the final habit then, a bonus habit, if you like, is around emails. And in my corporate career, I would regularly get 50 to 70 emails a day, and this habit was an absolute lifesaver. Now in my own business, I get a lot fewer emails than that, but I still find it a really useful thing to do. And what this habit is about is basically, as emails come in during the week, anything that's important but not urgent, I file in a special folder. I call it pending file. You can call it whatever you like. But basically, any email that's not urgent, but I do need to have a look at some point, goes into this folder. And then once a week, I spend an hour looking at the contents of that. Sometimes it takes me a bit less. Occasionally it takes me a bit more, but very rarely. The kind of emails that I would put into that folder are things like newsletters from people. Although I would actually say if it's newsletters that you tend not to read, you're probably better off unsubscribing. It could be industry updates. It could be little admin emails, perhaps about renewing a subscription, perhaps about booking onto an event or a training course, perhaps paying an invoice for somebody. Anything that you know is going to take you less than 5 minutes and doesn't need to be done now, but does need to be done. And think about the best time of the day for you to do that. So I know for me, I want to save my mornings for things where I need lots of brain power, because I tend to work best in the morning. This kind of admin related job is best for me sort of late afternoon when I have just ran out of steam for anything else. Again, you might want to put time in your diary to go through that pending file. So the benefit of that is that it prevents you from being distracted by your emails and little insignificant tasks during the day, because once you've broken off from a task to do that, it will probably take you around 10 minutes to get back into the zone of concentration for one of your priority tasks that you should be doing. So in summary then, 4 habits for a productive work week from me. One is to review the week that's gone before and start thinking about the week ahead. Second one is to plan in detail your priority tasks for the week and put time aside in your diary to do that. The third one is to look ahead at the meetings that are coming up in the next 7 to 10 days. Make sure you've booked time aside to do the preparation for those. And the last one is just to file those important but not urgent emails and just go through them once a week. If you found that helpful and you'd like to know more, I've got a 4-page resource on productive work habits, including other things that you could do monthly and 6-monthly as well. And we'll put a link to that underneath this video in the YouTube channel. But I hope you found that interesting. You'll find all my contact details underneath the video as well. And thank you, Julie, for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh my goodness, Helen, that was so comprehensive. I mean, I'm someone who typically hates being organized. I totally understand how important it is to be organized, and I'm now much better than I ever used to be. I kind of rebelled against it. But actually being organized and having a system really works. I know that. So I'm really looking forward to re-watching this video and implementing some of those things. I just want to ask you, just as personally, have you always been an organized person, or did something happen and you suddenly thought, no, I need to organize myself?
I think I've always been organised. Certainly, I remember being a student, I would rather get up early to finish an essay rather than stay late at night and do it at the last minute. But I think when I had my children and I was working full time, that's what really got me to a very organised position. For me, it's a means to an end. If I know I've done some planning, if it saves me that last minute panic, it means that I've got more time in the day to do the things that I want to do and I enjoy doing it. So it very much is a means to an end for me.
And who wouldn't want that? More time
Exactly.
what you want to do. Fantastic. So as Helen said, the link to what she was talking about will be below this video and all of her other links, as will mine. If you really got value out of this video, please subscribe and like it. And if you've loved it, why not share it? So thank you ever so much, Helen, for that gold. And thank you everyone else for watching.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, everyone. Bye.